Hey, words of wisdom for today. Try not to let life drain you so much in the earliest phases that you basically don't even have enough energy for adulthood. Now let me explain this. Some people have been so exhausted throughout their childhood just trying to have their voice heard, be accepted, trying to find a way, trying to heal from their traumas and all that kind of stuff, trying to process everything, that they could very easily just be done with life, like by the time you actually reach adulthood. Now, I've seen so many people let their childhood experiences, or should I just say the experiences that they have earlier in life, because sometimes it bleeds into young adulthood. And it's so hard to move forward from the messed up foundation that was set, that people don't even realize they stuck in their childhood. And the craziest part is that adulthood is so much longer than childhood. So if your childhood has got you messed up and basically you don't know how to move on and how to grow and expand and develop and heal, you're gonna still be mentally a child. As far as what you felt back then, if you didn't acknowledge how you felt, if you suppressed it, if you didn't know how to express it, if you didn't know how to heal properly and stuff like that, mentally, even though physically you're an adult, mentally you're still a child. And this can be proven based off of people's actions, right? They might self-sabotage, they might disrupt perfectly fine relationships and basically just make something work in a negative way, just make something bad happen. Ruin opportunities, get in their own way. You fill in the blanks on how this applies to you. It applies to many people. You could be somebody who gets in your own way, consciously or unconsciously. But if you look back on the relationships and stuff that fell through, and you, for example, always end up blaming other people, know that it's probably you. If you fall out with a lot of business partners, if you fall out with a lot of men, a lot of women, etc., you're the common denominator. So don't be naive enough, don't be immature to blame other people. Oh, men all this, or women all this, or they always that, and all this shit. But you're not acknowledging that you are the most common denominator in all of the outcomes. You can be the problem. It's okay. Like, bro, everybody got flaws and stuff. But sometimes somebody might be that type of person that basically they just always externalize everything. Also, this could be on the other end of things. You might always think you're the problem. Some people got traumatized in the way that they basically always got experience with being gaslit or gaslighting, right? When you basically blame somebody for something and it's obviously not even their fault, right? So somebody might have done this to you. You could have been the person, right? Like, for example, if your mama made a mess and then she come in your room when you were a little kid, you ain't doing nothing, you just minding your business, and she like, why you ain't clean up that mess in the kitchen? And you're like, what? I didn't even make a mess in the kitchen. What are you talking about? And then she just started going off like, oh, you so ungrateful. You can fill in the blanks. You know how people be, bro. But know that being that type of person, or should I say experiencing that type of person and then being that type of child, if you don't really be very careful and aware of who you are as an adult, very easily you can keep those cycles going. And that's what happens a lot of the time. That's why people see generational curses, right? Like, people that be like, oh, it's a generational curse. Bruh, all that is traumas that never got resolved. And then, of course, somebody ends up repeating the same habits that they saw somebody else have. That's all that is, bruh. If you see good examples, if you see people who communicate well, etc., you're going to be somebody who sets a good example and communicates well, or at least you're more likely to. So I just wanted to mention that because I feel like it's so common that people basically, they don't even put in the work in adulthood when it really counts, when it really matters, because they be so done with life from their childhood draining them. They just be like, bro, I'm just trying to get by. So they have low standards, low expectations. They might end up lazy. They might end up with low standards to where they settle a lot and stuff like that. And it could really have a huge impact on your future trajectory. And of course, your future in the next generation and your generational wealth and whatnot. All of that stuff can make a huge difference. That's why, of course, when you are around children, you raising kids and stuff, you gotta be ultra certain that you're doing what makes sense for that child's well-being and their learning. Because, of course, for example, right, if you see a kid touch or finna touch the hot stove and all you do is smack their hand, they're gonna be like, ow, and they might cry. But if you don't take the time to explain to them, no, that's hot. Like, bro, you can't be surprised if they go try to touch the stove when you ain't looking. Like, you got to be very patient with children. And that was probably, like, if you're the person who basically gets in your own way a lot, that was the problem you had. You didn't have somebody who was patient enough with you to explain things to you, to really be there for you emotionally and support you and stuff like that. Of course, we can't control that your past was messed up. If you have a messed up past, most people do, it's all right, because, of course, you can heal and be that person who develops in a way that basically becomes even better version of yourself because you experienced those things early in life. And that's me, for example, right? Like, I went through a whole bunch of messed up stuff and I figured it all out, processed it all, and it came out a new person and I was reborn. You get it? Like, you can be on the positive end or the negative end of everything. But that's the word of wisdom for today, man. Holla at me.